I just want to let you guys know, you can insult a lot of people and get away with it in this country because it's actually a protected right. It is called the First Amendment. I'll let you go look it up in case you're not familiar. But the current FBI director apparently has to find that out the hard way. And before I dig in here, yes, I know the guy who dives in and figures out what YouTube likes today and tests the titles and the thumbnails. Anytime we do a story about Kash Patel, he generates a lot of comments about which pictures he uses of Kash Patel. And they usually highlight a certain feature of Kash Patel. And, sometimes you guys might be right. It might be a bit much. Maybe. And maybe we'll go tasteful with this one. But I won't know until I'm watching with you guys anyway. So we'll see how they do back there. But a federal judge in Nevada tossed Kash Patel's $10 million defamation lawsuit on Tuesday. This was against a blogger who called him, one second, I want to make sure I get this right, called him, quote, a googly-eyed Kremlin bitch. Let's just actually take a second. Breathe that in. Ponder it. And let me go over it one more time. Kash Patel called a googly-eyed Kremlin bitch. Huh. Works for me. So the background here, starting in 2023, before Patel ran the FBI, a commentator named Jim Stewartson started calling Patel a blatantly incompetent chud and a Kremlin asset who plotted to overthrow the government on January 6th. Patel sued because I guess maybe something in there isn't true. I don't know. And Stewartson, for whatever reason, didn't respond to the lawsuit at first. So Patel actually won this lawsuit in a default judgment. $250,000 locked in back in August of last year. Easy money. Should have been the end of it, right? Well, Stewartson came back and challenged the default, arguing that he has no real ties to Nevada, where Patel filed the lawsuit. And in the process of fighting, Stewartson escalated things because he declared publicly that Patel was a googly-eyed Kremlin bitch. And again, for emphasis, checking my notes here, a chud. And according to Merriam-Webster, a chud is a generalized term of disparagement used somewhat synonymously with fool, troll, and jerk to suggest that someone, usually a man, is rude, boorish, regressive, unintelligent, etc. In online political discourse, chud is often used specifically as a left-wing insult for someone, again, usually a man, on the far right. That's according to Merriam-Webster. And again, I'm not entirely sure which part of any of that is supposed to be untrue. And Nevada's Chief District Judge Andrew Gordon looked at all of this and threw the whole case out because there was no personal jurisdiction over Stewartson. Case dismissed. But the funny part, in this actual federal ruling, Judge Gordon referenced that googly-eyed line in a footnote, in writing, and it is there forever as long as the internet exists. And with that, Stewartson posted, quote, I'd like to commend the judge for including googly-eyed Kremlin bitch in his ruling. And then he followed up with a PSA. Now that my case is settled, you are free to refer to the FBI director as a chud, a googly-eyed Kremlin bitch, and a traitor without fear of legal repercussions. You know what? Bravo, sir, Mr. Stewartson. You win the internet for today. And I've got to hear from you guys in the comments, how exactly would Kash Patel prove that he's not a chud or not a googly-eyed Kremlin bitch? Of course, I'm asking for some humor here, and pardon if I start using chud or GEK, googly-eyed Kremlin-B, so GEK, Gek B, instead of Kash for his first name. So pardon me for that. But of course, we all know that this is not Chud Patel's first defamation lawsuit. It's not even his second. Following his boss's playbook to the letter, Chud Patel has filed 6 defamation suits against journalists and commentators in 7 years. 6 of them. Most recently, a $250 million lawsuit against The Atlantic for reporting that he drinks excessively at work. And so yes, the FBI director, Kash Patel, the man running the nation's premier law enforcement agency, is suing a magazine over a story about his drinking. He's not denying that it happened, he's just suing over who reported it. And there are reports that he allegedly has been threatening anyone that works under him for mentioning his drinking. And like I've mentioned before, the weapon here is the lawsuit, aimed at a newsroom, at a commentator, and at their legal budget, which is a very different kind of pressure than trying to prove the story wrong. And that's the whole point here. For Kash Patel and all of the MAGA people out there, the chilling effect that these lawsuits have is the point. Chud and the rest of the Trump gang don't care if they win, as long as they instill fear. And the orange turd who leads this administration set up the template. Sue anyone who says something you don't like. Who cares if you don't win? That is, until someone like this, like Stewartson, fights back with teeth. And that, my friend, is why now a federal court order has the phrase googly-eyed Kremlin bitch preserved on the record for legal history. Hit that notification bell, especially if you like seeing Kash Patel lose.